على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa'hlul bil lisan. My today's topic will be is the current issue which I think almost everybody is facing. That is about the relationship between the parents and the children. We usually talk about parents' rights. But today I'll be talking about parents' responsibilities. So how should we be raising our kids? Especially like all of us are staying away from our families, we are far away, but still how best we can contribute in their lives. My today's khutbah will be in line with the teachings of Quran and some references from Hadith. In this regard, the Surah Luqman, which is basically the summary of how a father or how we should be giving the guidelines to our kids. So I'll recite few verses from Surah Luqman, and then later on I'll touch upon Surah Yusuf as well, and then discussing our day-to-day problems and issues, what we are facing in 21st century, especially our kids. Alif Lam Mim Tilka Ayatul Kitab al-Hakim Hudan wa rahmatul lil muhsinin allazina yuqimuna as-salata wa yu'tuna az-zakata وهم بالآخرات هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون ومن الناس من يشتري لهو الحديث ليضل عن سبيل الله بغير علم ويتخذها وهم أولئك لهم عذاب مهين. That is Surah Luqman, which I have just recited in front of you. Now, when we talk about the relationship between parents and the kids, then we'll have to basically analyze three different aspects. The first one is the relationship between husband and wife. Second is the relationship between child and the parents. And the third one is his relationship with his own siblings and how a child is interacting with his mates outside. So those are basically the three different angles which we need to focus on to understand exactly how best we can improve our relation with our kids and how best we can guide them, train them in the light of Quran. The first topic which I covered few days back, that was a relationship between husband and wife. Some of you who are here, they might remember, so I'll not go into details of that. But I'll just give a summary for those, or a recap, so that you understand when we move forward that how things will go. What do you think if a child is seeing his parents fighting at home? What message he's carrying? It's a message of hate. He's seeing that that's how the family is. So when he'll become adult and he'll become father or he'll become a husband, his relationship will be basically guided by how he was brought up by us. And that reminds me to one of the incident when a person came to the Caliph Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Anhu and he complained about his son, that our son is not listening to us. And he said that please tell my son that he should respect us because we are the parents. And before Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Anhu could speak up, the child stood up and he said, the Caliph, Umar, I just want to ask you something. As a child, do I have some rights? And Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Anhu replied, yes, you have all your rights. Why not? And he said, please tell me what are my rights as a child. And then Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Anhu started narrating what are the rights of a child. And the first one was that when you marry, and that's a message for both husband and wife, try to find the pious spouses. And then, because when the spouses will be pious, they will be able to train their kids in a much, much better way as compared to those who are non-practicing. The second was, Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Anhu said that when you give name to your kids, try to find a name which is well respected in Islamic perspective as well as in your social and local culture. Like I come from Asia. There might be a word in Arabic, but in a social norms and culture, the meaning of that word might not be very good. And then the third thing, Umar Raziyallahu Anhu said that your father or your parents should teach Quran. So before he could go on, that young kid said, Umar Raziyallahu Anhu, my father married a lady who was not a very religious, what to talk of religious, but she was following this fire things. Then he gave me a very bad name. The meaning of my name is so bad that the people make fun of me. Thirdly, the child said, he did not teach me a word of Quran. And then the Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Anhu Caliph said to his father that you have come to me to complain about your kid, whereas you have not fulfilled your basic responsibilities to raise this kid. So that takes me, basically, all of us, we are facing challenges in this 21st century, especially those who are away from their culture, their societies, they've gone to Europe, America, and whatnot and whatnot. But the thing is, are we fulfilling our basic responsibilities? You know, they say usually the action speaks louder than words. If I'm not praying as a father, and then I tell my son to pray 5 times, do you think he's going to listen to me? Tell me. If we don't, because as they say, seeing is believing, our kids will follow us the way they will see us doing. Like if I ask my kids, don't use social media for so much time, but whereas I'm on the social media for 10 hours. So what will be the impact? So basically then we are just wasting our words. The words are precious only when they are supported by actions. So if the actions are strong, the words will have effect. But if our actions are weak, the same words will be meaningless. Then if some of you recall, and I know the people like me, those who don't understand Arabic without the translation, when nikah between the two adults is done, the third sentence, you know what it is? Basically, it talks about guarding your tongue, controlling your tongue. Don't use the harsh words towards each other. Right from that point onward, that is the message given to both. That if you want to live a peaceful life, a better life, control your tongue. Because if you are not going to control your tongue, that will lead you to arguments, fights, and a bad taste in the house. And how that's going to impact your child. Because his personality is grooming based on what he's seeing in the house. So 90%, it was said that 90% issues are because of the bad words. So if we choose the words kindly, nicely, not only for each other, but even for the kids. And I was just listening to one day that when you admonish your child and you uses very bad words for him, he cannot react because he's very young. He's weak in front of you. You're big, strong. But you know how it comes back? It comes back with the interest. When he will become adult, all those things remains in his subconscious. That how he was being treated by his father, by his mother, even the slaps you are giving your child, basically that is destroying his personality. You are making him weak even to receive those slaps outside from the people. And he would consider it just something normal because you have spoiled his personality in a way that he takes those things something very normal. But then the expectations, yesterday there was an open session in Raven School in Nairobi and I could not go, so I just called my wife. What happened? What kind of questions the kids raised? And she said the first one was, when we do good things, our parents don't appreciate us the way they should be. But the moment we make mistake, they become policemen. They immediately get hold of us. And basically that open session was in such a way that one side parents were sitting, the other side kids were sitting. And kids were raising questions from the parents. And now parents had to reply. And second very interesting thing came up, that one of the kids asked that, now our parents are saying, you have this much of screen time. How about them? There is no limit to the parents. They can sit on screen for as long as they want to. I mean, these are the eye openings for us. I know those of us who are here, we are away from the families. If we want to find justifications, we have justification. Oh, we are away, we don't have time. How can we ask them? But no, this is the era where everything is through VTCs, through Skype. We can still give them some time and ask them what exactly they are studying, what are their grades, and learn to appreciate. And that appreciation basically brings peace and harmony not only between your relation with your kids, but also between your relation with your spouses. How many of us are actually appreciating our spouses because they are away from us, they're looking after the kids, they are trying to fill the gap of a father as well as a mother. And they're cooking for us when we go. Let me tell you one thing, the biggest approval the kid is looking is from the parents. And what a wife is looking is from her husband. And the same way, when a husband is doing something good, maybe he's promoted, he has achieved some milestone, whatsoever the whole world is saying, if your wife does not say you have done a great job, let me tell you, you still feel that you have not accomplished it. Please make it your habit to appreciate things. Through appreciation, you can motivate not only the kids, even the adults. And through that motivation, then things will keep on moving forward. I know the time is very short and it's difficult for me to go into the details. So maybe I'll come back again on this topic some other day as well to discuss the issues what kids are facing today, especially specifically focusing on that. But here I just want to narrate the things, the advices Hazrat Luqman has uttered for his son when he was on the deathbed and he was about to die. Now let me remind you guys, Hazrat Luqman was not a prophet. And neither he was the follower of any prophet. But he was such a wise man that people used to come to him for advice, for hikmah, and he would even treat people. So you can imagine that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept one surah on his name. So this is such an exception that the complete surah has come on his name, and his advice to his son has become a kind of a role model for all the Muslims to follow. The first one he said is, never worship anyone other than Allah. So Allah is basically the sole creator. It says not to ascribe divine powers to anything other than Allah. Followed by the second one, respect, be kind to your parents, and especially to your mother, who has kept you in her stomach for 9 months, and then she had been feeding you. And then it says that you will have to listen to your parents, their advices, until and unless they ask you something which is shirk. Other than shirk, you remain obedient, you remain kind to your parents. Then it talks about to be constant in prayers, to bear what befalls him with patience, to avoid pride, arrogance. You know, there are people, maybe sometime when they become wealthy or they become someone senior in ranks and files, some kind of arrogance come in their attitude. That was strongly demonished. That a true believer is the one who is not arrogant, who is very kind. And then towards the end he says that you need to be very, very modest in your behavior, and you need to be very kind towards people. Now I'll touch upon Surah Yusuf little bit. That shows about the love, kindness of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam and Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam, and then the whole incident, how it revolves, and what was the reaction of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam towards his brothers. I know most of you know about that, but I'll just touch upon a little bit to give you some hint of it, that how being a father, how close we should be towards our kids. Iskala Yusufu li abihi ya abati inni ra'aytu ahada ashara kawkaban wa shamsu wal qamar ayatuhum li sajidina qala ya bunayya la taqsus ru'yaka ala ikhwatika fayakidu laka kidan inna shaytana lil insana uduvum mubin. So basically this is the dream which Hazrat Yusuf Raziyallahu Anhu has seen, and he is narrating to his father that I have seen there are 11 stars who are doing sujood in front of me, and then there is a sun, and then there is moon, and then Hazrat Yaqub Raziyallahu Anhu immediately told him, please don't share it with your brothers because they'll become your enemy. Hazrat Yaqub Raziyallahu Anhu immediately understood that Yusuf alayhi salam would be the prophet one day, inshallah. And his other sons, the 10 sons were from one wife, and these 2 sons, Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam and Hazrat Binyamin alayhi salam, they were from the other mother. No, the point here I want to make is, usually the kids go to the mothers. When they see something, Hazrat Yusuf al-Islam was just 12, 13 years old, a young boy. Basically, it shows the association, the love, and the bond between the father and the son. That he came to his father to tell that this is what he has seen. And now Hazrat Yaqub al-Islam was trying to guard him, to protect him, but still his brothers managed to convince his father to let him go, and then you all know that he was thrown in a well, and then they came back and told that, some lion has eaten Hazrat Yusuf al-Islam. Hazrat Yaqub al-Islam knew exactly that this is not the case, but still he was in grief. He was in pain because of the loss of Hazrat Yusuf al-Islam. That because of that pain, his eyesight had actually gone. And then from there he went to the Egypt, the Misr of today, and then he's brought up in the house of the king, and then he was put into jail and all those things. But coming back to the point, what happened? When there was famine all over in this region, then the brothers of the Yusuf al-Islam came for those grains and thing, and first year they were given, and next time he called to bring Benjamin, his younger brother, with him. And then towards the end he could not resist Yusuf al-Islam the third time when they came, when they had nothing to offer in lieu of those grains and stuff. And then he told his brothers that I'm the one who is Yusuf. Please bring our parents, bring those families and everyone. So that's where exactly what happens is, all his brothers went to sujood in front of Yusuf al-Islam, and his mother and father was sitting with him. So that was basically the conclusion, that what he has seen in the dream was completed here. That those brothers, but the message is basically, now when his brothers went the third time, Yusuf al-Islam gave his shirt, that put this shirt on the eyes of our father and his eyes will be okay. Alhamdulillah. And that's what happened. His eyes became, Hazrat Yaqub al-Islam could start seeing it after that. And even before they were moving towards Misr, he could say that, I can feel some fragrance of Yusuf coming from Misr. So that was kind of a feeling and a bond between the father. But now here comes the question. The same father, the same mother, but 10 sons, we all know, kind of a vagabonds, not listening to the father. Don't you think that he has given the same kind of training, atmosphere, and the environment? But still, those are disobedient. So that's basically a message now for the parents as well. What we need to do, those of us who are living in a society where we see that now the kid is adult, he got married, he has put his parents in the old homes. What should we do? Most of the parents went into kind of a psychological depressions. It's difficult for them to come out of that depression. But that's a message for those parents as well. That if the kids of the prophets, they can go wrong, what about us? We are very, very common people. Our kids can also go wrong. So those things we should not take it to our heart, and we should not become sick because of the relation or the attitude of our kids towards us. But then if you see Hazrat Ibrahim al-Islam, his father, he was non-believer. So examples are there in Quran that the kids of the non-believers, they become the prophets. And then the kids of the prophets, they were destroyed. We all know Hazrat Lut al-Islam's incident. What happened to his kids, his wife? Basically, on the day of judgment, everybody will be judged on his deeds. That's what the Prophet, peace be upon him, told Hazrat Fatima Razallahu anha when she asked, and the Prophet is saying to Fatima that on the day of judgment, you will go to heaven or hell based on what you have done in your life. So nobody can save you. But our basic responsibility is to teach our kids, to train them, and then when they are adult, leave the things to them, between them and Allah. We have fulfilled our responsibility if we have taught them. You know, I was in a boarding school from the age 10. And in our boarding school, the Maghrib prayer was compulsory, and there used to be a fallen, you know, they used to count the people who came for the prayer. And those who would be missing will be beaten. But that thing, I'm telling you, till today, wherever I am, or in any part of the world, that has become part and parcel of my life. I don't miss Maghrib prayer. So, sometime when the kids, whatever they learn, they become part and parcel of their life. So try to encourage your kids, to motivate them, maybe sometime by giving some toffees. Like when I'm in Nairobi, I take my sons for a Friday prayer in the UN compound. And you know, their only motivation is because they are going to buy sweets from that corner shop, just besides where we take lunch. So one day I forgot, and then my little Yusuf, he reminded me, Baba, you have forgotten something. I said, I don't know. We have not taken anything. So take your kids, maybe it's because of those small things, but that will become part and parcel of their life. The last thing I would say here is, there is an incident, when I say praise or the comfort between husband and wife, if you recall, when the Quran started revealing on the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Hazur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went to Hazrat Khadija, to his wife, and narrated the whole incident, how it happened, and he was body was shivering. And then you know what Hazrat Khadija Razallahu anha narrated? You are honest and truthful, you are kind to the people, you love your relatives, and you take care of the people around you. Allah can never leave you alone. So that was kind of a praise a wife is giving to her husband to comfort him. I think we all should learn to praise, to give comfort to our spouses, and to keep peace in our houses if we really want to follow the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And if we want our kids to be raised in the Islamic way, wherever we are, we can still give them time. Subhanakallah.